Hi guys, so today I wanted to do a quick update video on my hardy Chicago fig tree. If you have been here before, I want to apologize first about the background behind this tree and around it. If you've been here before, then you know that I have an injured foot, and because of that I can't actually clean up this area. This is our gravel area, and you can see it's all behind it. It's all full of weeds, and normally I'd come back here and clean it, but I want to try to approach it in a different way this year. Well, not this year, next year, because this year I can't really do anything about it. Anyways, so I just wanted to give you a quick update on this hardy Chicago fig tree. Last year when I first started this channel, I posted a video about transplanting this this fig tree over here into the spot that it is in right now. And we had it in our old vegetable garden, or what we used as our vegetable garden. The fig tree was in this area over here on the side, in the corner, where it would be protected a little bit because it was right up against the barn, and we thought that would give it some protection in the winter. But what we have seen is that it would die back every year all the way to the ground, and then in the next spring it would start, like late spring, it would start coming back up, and then we would have maybe like 1 or 2 figs on it. So I decided to uproot it and put it in this pot and give it a chance to kind of have some old growth on it, and not have to die back all the way to the ground and start all over again. And that worked out really well, as you can see. So I gave it fertilizer when I put it in the when I transplanted it. I gave it some tree fertilizer, and I put it in the garage, and I overwintered it in our garage. Now we are in zone 5 over here, and it gets pretty cold in the winter, but our garage stays probably, maybe it might reach freezing sometimes, but mostly it's just a little bit above freezing in the garage. So this did really well in there, and I barely gave it any water. Maybe I watered it about 3 to 4, maximum 5 times throughout the whole period. And then in the spring, of course, right before frost, I also watered it a little more. But during the winter, I probably gave it around 3 to 4 times water, just to make sure that the soil wasn't getting super dry, because it's still alive and I didn't want it to die. And I also gave it with a little bit of some organic liquid fertilizer in the winter, maybe once or twice. And you don't have to do that, but I chose to do that because I thought, you know, it's going to benefit from it anyways. It's sitting in a pot, and any nutrients that it's getting is going to be from the fertilizer that I give it. Because even though I gave it fertilizer in the spring, I thought, just in case, if it needs a little more love, I will give it a little more fertilizer. So I chose to give it a little liquid fertilizer during that time. And I also, in the spring, I fertilized it again with some tree tone, and I also gave it some soil acidifier, because fig trees actually prefer a slightly acidic soil, around 6 to 6.5 pH. And also I gave it some chicken manure, aged chicken manure from our chickens that we were raising at the time they were inside our house, because they were little chicks. So I took all that and I put it on the top, along with mulch that with wood shavings that were in it, and it created sort of a mulch on the top, so I didn't have to weed all around the tree all the time. Barely any weeds come up after that. And now there are tons of figs on it, and it's putting a lot of growth. As you can see, it's full of leaves and it's full of figs. The figs are still small, so I'm hoping that next year, when it grows, when it has more old growth, that it would put out more fruits, and earlier in the season, not later in the season, because now it's putting them a little bit later in the season. But that's not a big deal. If I have to bring it inside when the frost comes, I'll do that, and this way we can have some figs. And then I'll bring it back into the garage, so that I don't have to take care of it in our house all this time. And also my husband built a structure for it on wheels. It's kind of like a dolly almost, but without a handle, and we put it on that so that we can drag it in and out from from the garage and outside over here, so that when it starts getting cold we can do that also. Probably that's what I'll do likely. So when I am kind of expecting a frost, I'll just bring it back into the garage, and when it warms up during the day I'll bring it back outside. That's what I did in the spring when we were still getting frost. I was bringing it in and out. I would bring it in the kind of late morning, and then I'd bring it back into the garage in the evening right before it gets dark, so that it doesn't get damaged by the frost. And that's probably what I'll do actually. It's easier than bringing it all the way up the stairs. It's heavy, and I think that's going to be very difficult, so I'll do that instead. I think I am going to give it a little more tree tone at this point of time, and some also some bone meal, because I want those fruits to get big and I want the tree to kind of be strong and to put on some more growth. Hopefully it will still fit in the garage. If I'll have to do some pruning, then I'll do that, but otherwise I'm super happy with it. And let me bring you a little bit closer so that I can show you the figs and kind of talk a little bit more about that. So as you can see over here on this branch, you see all these figs. There's one right here, one right here, one right here, so and one on the top. So every leaf node has a fig on it, and it's full of them. Some are a little more mature than others. Like over here, for example, you can see these figs are a little bit small, and it's still putting on some growth over here. So as it matures, you can see the fig right there. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that figs are not actually fruits. I'm not sure what they identify them as. And you can see this one over here. I'll have to I think I got a little more. I'm trying to find the fig that was on the old growth, and you can see the difference between, let me show you. So you can see the difference between the old growth, which is more woody right here, and that's the new growth. So I pruned it right here when I transplanted it, because I felt like it would struggle to support all this growth after I did some root pruning on it. And I will be linking that video at the end of this video so that you guys can go ahead and check that out, how I did all that. But look at that, it's just so amazing and beautiful. Let me see if I can find the fig that was on the old growth and show you the difference. Oh, where is it? Where is it? I feel like a bird ate that fig that was on the old growth, because it was there pretty early in the season, and that might have been the case. So I'll probably have to put a net on it just a little bit later in the season, once the figs are about to get mature, because I think that the fig that was on the old growth that was put on earlier in the season was eaten by some bird. So I will have to do that. And we bought some tree netting, so I'll be able to do that without damaging the tree. It should be a light type of netting. This is the pot that it's sitting in right now. Sorry for all the weeds. As I said, usually I would be able to clean all that up, but I can't stand much on my foot. And that's the dolly that my husband built. He just used, I think, 4x4s and these are the bolts. I don't know exactly what he did, but I wasn't there. But if you guys are interested, I can ask him to talk about how he built this thing for it. And it's on wheels also. And look at the trunk over here. So we had to actually put these straps on it and tie it into the dolly, because we get really strong wind over here. So one time actually the wind knocked it over, and we ran outside and fixed it. And that's why my husband put these straps on the pot and tied it into the dolly, so that this doesn't happen again. We just had a rainstorm and a lot of wind also. So if this was not tied out, if I came out here to show you, this tree would be down by now, because I saw some birch trees that were like leaning over and about to fall. This tree would have definitely fell. And we you know, when we do get storms, the wind is pretty strong over here, and we tend to have them often. It was a very short storm, but it was enough to do a little bit of damage. This tree is not on drip. I do have to water it every other day, and if we miss watering it, you can tell immediately because the leaves droop down, and it kind of tells you you have to water me. And by that time I think it would have been too late, but that happens several times. It has already happened, but it didn't do any damage to the tree. Still doing great. Also, I'm hoping that next year I will be able to put it on drip, and I would have to remove the drip, of course, before I put it into the garage, and so that we can, you know, haul it inside. But I would try to make it easy to put the drip in and out, so that it wouldn't be complicated to take it in and out of that area. I might want to put a faucet on that, so that when I do turn on the water on the other pots, like let's say in the spring, and I still don't have my tree over here, then I could turn that faucet off and I won't be wasting that water, and that water wouldn't be leaking everywhere. So that might be something I would do either this fall or next spring. I'm not sure. We'll see when that kind of thing works out. Also, when we bought this tree, they told us it does survive from, it can handle zone 5 to, I'm not sure to what zone. I forgot what zone it can handle. Also, like the higher zones. But even though it does handle zone 5, it can survive in zone 5. It doesn't really survive completely because it completely dies back to the ground. What I've seen some people do is that they leave it in the ground, but they kind of put a protection over it. They put sort of a structure around it, and they fill that with leaves, and that seems to provide insulation for it. I was a little bit worried about doing that. I feel like that's a lot of work to do every fall, and I was a little bit worried that there might be some sort of mold that would grow on the tree. I didn't want that to happen because with all the moisture that we get here in the winter from all the snow, and then rain in the fall and rain in the spring, it's just, it didn't seem like a really good idea, even though I was contemplating the idea. And it is a lot of work, again, just to kind of do that every fall. And so instead we decided to transplant it, put it in a pot, and take it in and out that way. I'm not sure if I forgot anything that I wanted to say. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I think I'm gonna have to water it again right now because the rain was not enough, and I will give it some bone meal and some tree fertilizer, tree tone. And if you guys have any questions about the Chicago hardy fig tree, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I'd be happy to answer you. I don't know everything there is to know about it, but whatever I know, I will be happy to share that with you guys. And I will be leaving again the video for the for transplanting this Chicago hardy fig tree into this pot right here, so you can go ahead and click on it. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye. And I am melting right now. I was here maybe for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm already sweaty. My hair is wet because I just took a shower. Oh my goodness. I don't know, it's like somewhere in the 90s. It's really hot. Really hot. I don't like the heat. Am I complaining? I think so.